Hello everyone, good evening, good afternoon, good morning, depending on the time zone. Thanks for joining me in this video. Without mentioning words, now I am going to analyze the position of the World Bank group, who made their findings and projections that by 2027 the Nigerian population, Nigerian citizens will sink, more of Nigerian citizens will sink into poverty. They weren't mentioning words. In fact, the choice of their words was what drew my attention. They were not contemplating. They were certain by their assertion. They were not gambling. They said by 2027, more Nigerians will be sinking or will sink into poverty. What does that imply? And some people ignore that. People never paid attention. Whatever Tinubu is doing now will plunge Nigeria into abysmal decline, economically, security-wise, and the rest of them. That they have considered, they have studied the template of Tinubu's policy, monetary, fiscal policies, and the rest of them, that it will amount to nothing. Because you can't tell me with the 55 trillion budget, the World Bank still has the guts to make this publication that Tinubu's administration will fail Nigerians and more Nigerians will sink into poverty. Comes 2027. We are just in 2025, which means there is a retrogressive decline in the living standard, the well-being of an average Nigerian today, but things is going to get worse. That is a projection, that things is going to get worse, that an average Nigerian today should not think there is hope, even in the midst of the renewed hope. Today, 1st of May, is considered as May Day, Workers' Day. The Nigerian workers, labor force, are telling Tinubu, you have dashed our hope. You have dashed our hope of survival. Do you understand the implication of this? That whatever promise, jingoism, propaganda, Tinubu administration and his economic team are blabbing, that it will amount to nothing. I never said it. The World Bank should be held responsible. And the economic team of Tinubu has not challenged it because they know the reality. They know the World Bank was saying nothing but the truth. Otherwise, they would have replied or challenged such. So that is the clarity and the position of the World Bank. To what is happening, they are still complaining that Nigeria is bad. Even as bad as this, we have not seen the worst. That by 2027, what is the interval? About 2 years from now, that more Nigerians will sink into poverty. This is a projection based on statistics and findings, economic reference, underscore what has been the position of poverty index or rate in Nigeria. By 2021, the same body, World Bank, projected that over 133 million Nigerians, that was during Buhari's era, that 133 million Nigerians are extremely poor. Extremely poor. Now, that projections, by then, Nigeria is projected to be about 200 million in population. Now, if 133 million Nigerians by 2021 is being projected to be extremely poor, living below poverty line. Now, that was then. Now, when you make a calculation or projection of that by simple arithmetic, 133 million population by the sum total of estimated 200 million, you will have 66.5% of Nigerian population, far well above average, are being considered to be extremely living below poverty line. This was the projection of the World Bank, the certified international bodies, projections or evaluations of the Nigerian state of economy and its negative impact on the citizens. That was about 4 or 5 years ago. Now, the current realities have revealed that more Nigerians are sinking into poverty, which means even with the transition of new government, there is no future, there is no better prospect, there is no hope. The labor force said that Tinubu has dashed their hope. Tinubu has dashed their hope. It's been reported in national dailies that Tinubu has dashed their hope, which means their hope, they are in the state of hopelessness, and they are demanding for review of their remunerations in order to cope. I mean, they are not trying to say they want to live a moderate life. They are saying that they are being overwhelmed by the economic realities today. They are being choked. They are under serious, intense pressure as a result of the economic mishap, disaster that has befallen the workforce, the labor force today. They are asking for review of remuneration or salary or wages in order to cope with the suffocating of the economic realities today. People could no longer pay for their house rents. They could no longer pay for their bills. It was hell. It is nothing less than this. It is hell. People are passing through excruciating, a very difficult moment. Never has that been in the history of Nigeria. Now, the labor force are saying that Tinubu has dashed their hope. That is just just to say the least, of what is about to happen, so that you will understand the state of the predicament today and appreciate what the World Bank is saying regarding what is to come. That a vote of no confidence has been passed in against Tinubu administration. That is what the World Bank has told us, that all hope is lost as far as Tinubu is concerned. Tinubu has no any initiative to pull Nigerians out of poverty. This is coming 1 year after Wale Edun, his economic advisor or what, said that they are on the right track in pulling Nigerians out of poverty. But in contradiction to his statement, this is what the World Bank group is saying. World Bank is saying, economic group is saying that it was a lie, that it is deceptive for Wale Edun to deceive Nigerians over the current reality. There is no hope. Even with over 55 trillion naira budget of 2025, it is as useless as whatever you can think. Because if the World Bank could say that there is no hope even ahead of Nigerians, that is clearly to say that the budget of 2025 is as useless. We have no direct positive impact on Nigerian citizens. Well, Tinubu and Wale Edun have not challenged that position by World Bank. That is what I'm pointing out to the people who cares to know, that this is the state of predicament Nigerians have been trapped in. Why they are distracting people with defection from APC from PDP to APC? It is inconsequential. These are mere distractions. What are they running for? Is it that the PDP have delivered on their mandates? The masses, the labor force, is saying that Tinubu has dashed their hope. Is on the national dailies. Now, with the current realities, now if over 66.5% of Nigerian population is considered to be extremely living below poverty by 5 years ago, now when things could be considered relatively easy to manage, the crisis, the food scarcity and the insecurity has worsened in the last 1 year plus, or getting to 2 years of Tinubu's administration. More Nigerians have lost their job. More international multinationals have left the shores, have fled the shores of Nigeria, and that has widened the gap. So if by the projection of the World Bank, of course, in 2024, let's see what they have to say. In 2024, the global body, referring to the World Bank, said more than half of Nigerian population lived in poverty. They are not just visiting poverty and exiting poverty. You know, they are living, that is, well consolidated in poverty. That is to say, now when the physical and monetary policies of the government does not address the immediate needs, the nagging issues bordering on shelter, foods, security, it means that the government has lost it all. We are heading towards a cliff for total collapse. Look at the activities of ISWAP, Islamic State of West African Province. They have made their intention clear that they want to overrun the Nigeria in the next 2 years, culminating to the projection of the World Bank, which means they will intensify the state of insecurity to the point that it will become very difficult for Nigerians to come out to carry out economic activities. That is what that means, that Nigeria will sink more into poverty by 2027. With escalation, of course, militaries are being killed, are becoming casualties across board. They are being targeted. I mean, with the reinforcements and the force, the Islamic State and the Boko Haram are moving. They are sweeping the entire, of course, northern regions, moving down to the south, spreading their tentacles, moving their mercenaries and militias across the southeastern region, just in a bid to conquer and take over, overrun the Nigerian state. People are paying less attention to that. Now, what does that mean? If the World Bank can give such position, verdict, and of course, spreadsheet defining the state of Nigeria today, now what hope do you have? No, basically, in the sustainability of the Nigerian projects. Look at the state of tariff. People are paying through their nose. Look at in Lagos today, to pay for one room is a hell. People are finding it difficult. With exploitation going on, those agents calling themselves agents, you will pay, this one is more than 20% now. They are collecting 20% on agency, and you pay 20% or more on what they call the agreement, and you also pay for caution. You also pay for, some people pay for other, what did they call it, for utility maintenance and other logistics. You can't imagine. By the time you are paying just for a mini flat, you are paying more than a million plus. More than a million, or 1.3 million, 1.5, depending on the location. 2 point, of course, depending on location. So you can pay more than 5 million, depending on the location. What is that telling us? That there is serious problem in Nigeria. Now, what could remedy this situation? What could save us? With the economic propaganda, in fact, the government is being distracted. What they are focusing now is how to cling to power from 2027. Nobody cares about the security. Nobody cares about the state of economy. Everybody to himself, God for us all. If you don't let the devil takes you, nobody cares. What Tinubu wants is to stage a comeback, comes 2027. Of course, he's making his political calculations, lobbying, and making sure that he did whatever he can to canvass and get more people to his side, not because he has delivered on his mandate, as people said. That it is very unfortunate what you are seeing, but that is just the reality today. Whatever happens, well, we will continue this discussion. Let me have your own take regarding this development. But don't forget, of course, to react to this reality. Nigeria is gone by the assertion of the World Bank that by 2027, more Nigerians will sink into poverty. Now, if the state of the economy is considered as hopeless as it stands now, because if by 2020 or 21, the projection was over 66.5% of Nigerians are poverty-stricken, abjectly living below poverty line. What is the percentage now? You can see close to 160 or 180 or to 70 million Nigerians are trapped, are sinking into poverty. Let's have your own take. And what is the economic implication? Nigeria is deficit of 300,000 doctors. 300,000 doctors. Deficit of 300,000 doctors. Which means, you know what that means? That Nigeria is a state of emergency. If your deficit of 300,000 doctors and hundreds of thousands of doctors are leaving the shores of Nigeria because of poor working conditions and poor remunerations, what does that mean? That an average Nigeria is at the risk of death, even at the slightest illness, because there are enough medical facilities, medical personnel to man and to take care of the Nigerian health facility and the Nigerian healthcare system. Needless to talk about education, needless to talk about, social security and the rest of them. It is a horrible state, and unfortunately, some persons are living in denial. Nobody is trying to talk on the realities. They are being distracted by the frivolities and inconsequential matters that does not bother on the safety, the economy, and the well-being of the Nigerian citizenry. It is quite disappointing, very laughable. You can't imagine Nigerian politicians have sought shame. They are ashamed. They have lost shame. They have no conscience. To consider, why can we continue to rip off the common resources of the country? Why the population of this country are being plunged into abject poverty? People are dying on a daily basis. In fact, if you don't have money, you cannot treat malaria. It is costly to treat malaria this time. I know what I suffered. How much it cost me. To run some checks and the rest of them. It is a very disturbing development. Let's have your own take regarding this development and the way forward. For me, there's no messing West. Nigeria is gone. If you have a contradiction to that, it means that Tinubu has no better prospect for Nigeria. This is the position of the World Bank. I never said it. I'm analyzing based on the current reality, and the World Bank are updated by their position. Of course, they have more information. That means no matter how much Tinubu borrows from them, it is a waste, because it will have no direct positive economic benefit to the Nigerian masses.